Today. Shtarhov. Mara says the bottom of Ayin Tet Amud Bet. Tana Rabbanan. Hamotzi shtarhov. Ad shelo pera'o hayav mi shepera'o patur. If you carry a shtarhov, a promissory note. So the shtarhov, it says, I so and so, or we the undersigned hereby testify that Reuven borrowed $200 from Shimon. Signed. Moshe and Aharon. Right? Now, Hamotzi shtarhov, if someone's carrying the shtarhov, ad shelo pera'o, before it was paid, hayav. Why? Because then it's very worth it to me. It's worth $200 for me. Misha pera'o, once the guy paid him, patur, ye patur. Why? Why not be hayav tzura pitzluhito?
Does value assign the fact whether it's,
It's scrap paper. Does scrap paper have a value? Has a value. So,
yeah.
Very good. So, especially in those days, that paper was much rarer. So, that, like the Gemara says, niyar mahu kedei lichtov alav tzluhit ketana shel palyaton. So, how could it be that you patur on the shtarhov? So, Rashi says, Misha pera'o lovoy patur lekamem mefareshlu. Okay, we'll see why later. My benayu, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, af misha pera'o hayav. Even after you pay your hayav, mebenesh tzarich lo, you still need it. My benayu, what's the difference? Amar of Yosef, asur leshahot shtar parua ika benayu. The machlok it is, are you allowed to keep a paid note? Rabbanan savri asur leshahot shtar parua. You can't keep a paid note. Rashi, mishum sheneemar al tashkem ba'olecha avla. Hilkach malve, the lender, lo mashile letzur al pitzlu hito. Mishum isur. So the lender, it's not like regular erased worthless paper. That paper, keep, do what you want. You have a worksheet, you have all your kids' notebooks from last year's school that they never want to see again in their life. Okay, so use it, scrap paper, burn it, you can use it for something. But this piece of paper you can't keep. So you can't use it for anything. What's it worth? I have to destroy it. It's a piece of garbage. V'loveh nami lo ma'ashile. Why? The loveh is not going to use the letzura pitzlu hoito. Here he's carrying his perfume to shul. This top falls off, falls on the floor. Somebody picks it up, and he gives it back to the other guy. Now he pays again. Nightmare. So it's worthless for everybody. V'Rabbi Yehuda savar mutar l'shaot shtar parua. You're allowed to keep a paid note. Hilkach ki yotzio malve chayav. The malve will be chayav. The tzarich lo lechroch al pitzul ichud. So that tzarich lo, you could still use it. V'Rabbi, that's the first answer. Abaya amar, no, I don't like that. How could it be that you could say anybody holds mutar l'shaot shtar parua? Why aren't you hoshesh that he'll forget, he'll collect again? Can't be. The kule alma asur l'shaot shtar parua. V'hacha, we're not talking where he paid. V'hacha b'modeh b'shtar sheketavo shetzarich lekayemo kamiflagi. The mahloket is if a person wrote a shtar, admits that he wrote the shtar. Again, when I present the shtar for collection, the general thing is that he has to agree that it's a valid shtar. So, if he could say, "This is nonsense. This is you wrote this yourself. You wrote it yourself. Just because it's written, I have to believe it. I say it's forged. I don't accept the validity of it. So, how do you validate a shtar? Has Moshe and Aaron. So you have either Moshe and Aaron come in and they say, yes, this is our signature, we remember the loan. So that's like you have witnesses testifying on the loan. Or, midrabanan, they were mitaken, you could do a signature card. But go get another note that I know is theirs, that's validated by Betin, and compare the signatures. If they match, you could accept that. We all kiyum shtarot works. Good? So now, but until you did that, Until you did that, the borrower could really claim it's a forgery. Now, let me ask you a question. When the malve, when you come and you present your star to somebody, could the guy claim, no, I paid the star? I paid it. It's paid. This note is paid.
Yeah, of course they could. Why not?
We should accept that. I paid. You paid? Good. Meaning is will the bedin? When you say mizuyaf, the bedin accepts your claim, and the burden of proof goes back to the guy presenting the star. Now the guy comes to you and he says it's paid. Why should I prove it? Why, when I said it was mizuyaf, you have to prove it? So the Gemara says there's a re'uta in his ta'ana. There's a weakness in his ta'ana. The weakness in his ta'ana is shtarcha biyadi my ba'i. If you paid, why do I still have the note? You should have taken back the note.
Take the note and do whatever you want. Rip it up.
You pay, you take the note.
You get the note back.
Don't leave notes by people's hands. So that's shtarcha biyadi my ba'i. So now this guy comes. You present the note. He says, "You're right, but I paid." The note, I'm not contesting the signatures. That's right, I remember. I paid it. Shtarcha biyadi my ba'i. So does it apply? Do I say that, listen, I have a migu. What's my migu? If I was lying, I would have said that it's a mizuyaf. I would have said it's a forgery. So now believe me that it's paid because I could have said it's a forgery. That's called migu. That's standard procedure in Dinei Mamonot. You have a migu. So now over here also, do I say migu? Rashi explains it like this: Modeh b'shtar sheketavo, haloveh modeh sheketavo. The loveh admits that he wrote it. Tzarich lekayemo. Does the malveh now have to go validate the shtar velomar? Lo parati. V'kol kama delo amar hachi lav shtarahu. Ilav mishkach sadeh lakira hatima. Right? Does he have to prove that he have to come back and say you didn't pay me, and bring witnesses that it's a real shtar, right? But ilo mashkach sadeh, if he doesn't find witness lakira hatima. The man kamash vile shtara. Who made this a shtar? It's nothing. It's toilet paper. Who made it a shtar? The loveh. How did the loveh make it a shtar? By recognizing and saying, I recognize those. What's it called? So your whole case started because I said I recognize the signatures. Right? The Amar Ketavtiv, he said I wrote it. You believe me? Loveh Haka Amar Parati. The same loveh says I paid. Hapeshe Asar. Hu Hapeshe Hetir. My mouth that said that this is a real shtar also says it's paid.
Confused. Maybe
so either
this one. Maybe this one.
But either you believe me or you don't believe me. Maybe the shtar. Maybe I also wrote a previous one. Oh, so when it comes to knowing which shtar it is, you believe that I know what I'm talking about. It's only when it comes to paying you think I don't know the one.
There. Otherwise, if you had 5 of them, and
either you trust me or you don't trust me. If you don't trust me, don't believe me that it's real.
When it comes to money,
Hazal Baruch, but you can't. I'm coming into Bedin. As if you could validate the shtar without me, Hazal Baruch. So then you're not mishubad to my ta'ana. But once you're mishubad to my ta'ana, you got to take everything. Hapeshe asar or hapeshe etir. Without me, you have nothing. Hilkach.
That's very what do you call it?
Wow. That's the whole Baba Messiah.
Really like want to screw the guy.
No, it's not. I don't know anything.
I could have lied better.
I could have lied better.
No, I know, but now you're going great, and you're telling the guy, yeah, I agree, it's valid, but I paid it, and maybe you really didn't pay it, and now it's your way to sketch it out.
All you have to do is do what you would have done if I would have said it's a forgery. Go validate the signatures. Right? Tanakama savar modeh b'shtar sheketavo tzarich lekayemo. The Tanakama holds that if I admit to the shtar, you still have to get it mikuyam. So therefore, once I say parati, shtar is meaningless. Why? Because you know you have no recourse to get the shtar validated. Right? ורבי יהודה סבר, מודה בשטר שכתבו, אין צריך לפורו. He doesn't, so אין צריך לקיימו. We believe you that it's a star, and we don't believe you that you paid it. Why? Because the ta'ana of shtarcha biyadi, my buy, we said is a migu, right? Migo, that I could have said, because I could have said mizuyaf. Believe me when I say parua. There's a rule, migu bimkom edim lo amrina. You don't say migu to be believed against edim. The one that holds that modeh b'shtar sheketavo en tzarich l'kayemo holds, he holds that this is like a migu against edim. So he's not believed. Fine. So therefore, according to the Yehuda, the paper is valid, is worthful, is worth. According to the Tanakama, since modeh b'shtar sheketavo en tzarich lekayemo, you have to be mekayem it till you get a val that it's worthless. And the
Edim always have the upper hand.
Edim is much stronger, sure. Okay. Edim is the
whole thing.
yeah. So the Gemara says, "Umay ad shelo perao mi sheperao." Doesn't mean paid cash. Ad sheomar love parati velo parati. If he says parati, the whole thing is over. You're not hayav. If he doesn't say parati, then you're hayav for carrying. Rava says the opposite. The kule alma, everybody agrees. Modeh b'shtar sheketavo shetzarich lekayemo. Everybody agrees he's believed with the migu. V'hacha bekotvim shovar kamiflegi. They're arguing whether you could write a receipt. Meaning, let's say I borrow money from you, and I write you a note. All right, with witnesses. Now you come for payment. You say you owe me the money. It's been 30 days. Please pay me. No problem. The cash is right here. Where's the note? No, I lost it. I'm not paying you, Tibram, but you owe me money. So yeah, but if I pay you, tomorrow you're going to find it and say you didn't pay me. So he said, no problem. I'll give you a receipt. So when I'll come to pay you, well, you have proof. So he says, I don't want a receipt. Why? Because if I take the note from you, I cut the note in half and I go to sleep, I never have to worry again. Now, I have to keep the shtar. I have to put this, file it, maybe God knows, who knows, I'm going to move, there's flood, Sandy's going to come, you live in zone B, I live in zone A. What are we going to do? So do I have to accept the shovar or not? That's the question of kotvim shovar. Tanakama savar, the Tanakama holds kotvim shovar. Rabbi Yehuda savar and kotvim shovar. Let's see Rashi. Rashi has, there's a whole mix-up over here.
How much did you pay the guy if he lost the no?
I won't pay you.
Ever.
You can't. You lost the note. You lost the money. You know, for me.
You can't prove that.
The note is the value.
Bring a edim that the note got burned. Okay. You're going to make me burning me? That's the question. Rashi. V'hacha bekotvim shovar kamiflegi. Yesh gorsim Tanakama savar en kotvim shovar al shtar parua. Tanakama holds en kotvim shovar she'ata matzricho l'shmor shovro, because you require him to watch his shovar mena achbarim, from the rats. Ela mahazirolo, give it back to him. V'sorfo, so give back the note, and he burns it. Ve'asul l'sha'oto, you can't keep it. V'riyudah savar, and that's why the promissory note is worthless, because you have to give it back. V'riyudah savar kotvim shovar, v'al yedeh shovar, if you have a shovar, mutar l'sha'ot shtar parua, you're allowed to keep a paid note. So mipnei shetzarich lo, because I can write a shovar. L'tzura pitlu hayto velohi. That's not the pshat. Hada dekiven ta'asu l'sha'ot shtar parua, afilu yedeh shovar nami yasu l'sha'oto. You're not allowed to l'chatchila keep it. Shema yabed shovar. maybe the guy will lose the shovar. V'zeh hozer v'goveh bo. It's not a luxury, so you could keep paper. Ve'od l'Rabbi Yehuda en kotvim shovar shaminan lebebabatra. We have a record of this mahlok. Rabbi Yehuda holds en kotvim shovar. Detana mi shepara miktzat chovo. Rabbi Yehuda omer yachlif. Rabbi Yehuda says you have to write a new shtar chov, even though you lose the original time and you lose shibud. Rabbi Yossi omer yichtov shovar. Write a shovar on the amount that was paid. V'achi garisina. So this is the right way. Tanakama savar kotvim shovar. Tanakama says you can write a shovar. V'achi kamar. Mi shepera'o love. If the borrower paid, v'hotzi'o malveh b'Shabbat, and the malveh carried it on Shabbat patur, she'eno tzarich lo, he has no need for it. V'yamar kivan tera'oi l'tzura pisluchoto hu debai, right? Hu debai hadure leloveh. He's going to give it back to the loveh. He's going to give tzura pisluchito lo mashile. The loveh is not going to keep it. Maybe he'll come to the malve and he'll ask him for the money again. V'inami lo mehader le malve. V'lo mehader, if he doesn't give back malve, lo ichpat le love. The malve katav le shovar. So now when he has it, he can't use it, but he doesn't have to give it back to the love, because the love has a shovar. But Rabbi Yehuda savar en kotvim shovar. You can't write a shovar. Hilkach tzarichu al malveh debaya adure. He has to give it back to him. Ve'ilo mehedarle, if he doesn't give it back, chozer v'tovo ma shepara lo sagi lebeshovar. The tzarich l'shomro min ha'achbarim. So it seems like Rashi is creating a new mahloket, that according to the Tanakama, even though you wrote him a shovar, since you wrote him a shovar, he paid you, and you wrote him a shovar. According to the Tanakama, that's enough. So therefore, you don't have to give back to him. You could just throw it away or do what you want. Whereas according to the Yehuda, en kotvim shovar, and if he paid you, you have a responsibility to give it back to him and show him that it was ripped. You still owe it to him. So I owe it to him to give it back to him, and therefore I'm still chayav. Rav Ashi Amar, Rav Ashi says, I want to show it to the next Baal Chov, like he said by the Moches. The Amar le Haze Gavra de Para'ana. This is my credit record. Who needs it? The Love needs it, because he shows it to the next. Says, I pay. Rashi. Peluktayo keshiyotzio lovehu. Umao tzarich lo de kamar v'adai lo letzur. Not for a paper on the thing. The mishum stimat pitz luchid lo mashile. He wouldn't leave it for a stimat pitz luchid. That's crazy. I'll get other paper for that. Sheme yavuli de malve el mashele laroto. He has a file of old paid documents. The shar ba'alei havot uletalel. Shu porei havotav. You see, I borrow and I pay. For that, it's worth it. Guys, this is my credit line. Paper on the thing. Habibi, use a newspaper. Or kedei la'asot lo kamiya, to make it kamiya. By Miner Rav Rav Nachman, Amotzi or. What?
When you explained the Mishnah, you said it was the case.
Yeah, we're going to explain it. Yeah, and that's the way the picture in the book is. By Miner Rav Rav Nachman, Amotzi or bekamah. If you take out leather, how much? Amarlei kedetnan or kedei la'asot kamiya. Leather enough to make the case of the kamiya. Hame'abedo bekama. How much you hayav if you work it? Meaning, what's the shiur of leather to be hayav for me'abed? Amarle loshna. It's the same shiur, enough to make it kamiya. Le'abedo bekama. If you have leather that you didn't work yet, how much? So he told him, loshna, same shiur. Uminat temra, where do I know that the shiur of carrying it to process is the same as the shiur of carrying, or processing is the same as carrying? Kedetnan, hamelaben, if you bleach wool, v'amenafetz and carding, v'atzovei and coloring, v'atavei and spinning, shiuro kimlo roh havasit kaful. The shiur is like a seat kaful is like this amount of what's it called? This is roh havasit, and this is sit kaful, right? V'ha'oreg bet hutim, and if you weave two strings, shi'uro kimlo roh havasit, is like a roh havasit, like this. Alma, you see, that the shi'ur is tiviyah. Tiviyah is roh havasit kaful. And all the steps leading up to it is also roh havasit kaful. So you see that the lead up has the same shi'ur as the final process. Right? Kivan dilatviya kai shi'ura ketevi. Since it's going to be spun, the shi'ur is like spun wool. Hachanami kivan dila'abedo kai. Since you're planning on tanning the leather, shi'uro kimi'ubad. The shi'ur is like tanned leather. So he told them, v'shelo la'abedo bekama. And if you're not planning on tanning it, how much is it? Amar le'lo shna. He says it's the same amount. V'lo shna ben mi'ubad. V'lo shna ben mi'ubad l'she'enu mi'ubad. There's no difference between whether it's tanned or it's not tanned. It's the same. 80, I'll ask you a question. Hamotzi samanim. If you carry the spices or the things that they use to make dyes, shiruyin, that are already soaked with dye, kedel itzboa bahem dugma le'ira. How much you carry? How much meaning? So basically, you carry samanim. You're carrying the dyes. How much dye? Kedel itzboa bahem dugma le'ira. Enough to make like the little amount of wool or that they use as a sample. Rashi says, "Kelomar me'at, ke'en shemarim legdugmar rotze lomar rotze ata bazeh le'ira," which is the same amount that they stick when they have a shuttle. Is the thing that they use to weave. So they have like a little roll of wool on it, and it has like it's on a spindle that you stick in, and that spindle in the top there's a little hole. And they put a piece of kind so it doesn't shake. So they stick a little piece in it, a little tiny thing. That's how much you need as a sample. So a tiny amount of dior is enough. Not of dior, of dye. Dumya le'ira ve'ilu besamanim she'enam shiruim. But when you're talking about the ingredients to make the dyes, tenam we learned kilipei gozim. The peels of nuts, v'kilipe rimonim, and the peels of rimonim, satisu pu'ah, kedel etzboa bahem beged katan lepisivcha. It's a bigger shiur, enough to make a small clothing. So you see that just because it's going to be made into dye, the shiur is not the same as dye. So too, I'll tell you over here, just because you're going to tan it, the shiur is not the same as already tanned leather. So Gemara says, "Hayt mar Allah amar Rav Nachman amar Abba Baravu lefi she'en adam toreach l'shdot samanim l'tzbo b'hem dugma le'ira." Says nobody makes enough dye just to make a sample. You make more. Once I'm getting involved, I make more. Mashe'en came by tanning, I'll do a little bit at a time. V'hareh zir'onei gina is also the same issue. Temekamed zar'inu before you plant it. Tenan we learned zar'inei gina, the shi'ur of seeds. Pahot miki grogeret is less than a grogeret, but it doesn't say how much. Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera omer hamisha, 5 seeds. Ve'ilu batad zar'inu, but after you plant it, tenan zevel ve'hol adak. How much zevel do you have to carry? Kedel lezabel bahem kelach shel kruv. Divrei Rabbi Akiva v'chachamim omrim kedel lezabel kirisha. So it's enough for one plant. Carry enough zevel for one plant, but to carry seeds, five seeds, which is 5 plants. So you see that before it's planted, you need a bigger shi'ur than after. We don't say it's the same. Says Gemara, you're right, but over there also. Ha'it mar Allah, we answered for that. Amar of Papa. Had the Zariya, had the lo Zariya. When it's planted, the shiur is 1. When it's not planted, the shiur is 5. You're not going to walk all the way to your field to plant 1 seed. Teat, what about teat, mud, or whatever, mortar? Before you mix it, Tanya, we learn modim hachamim l'Rabbi Shimon b'motzi shofchim. The last Mishnah, l'rshut Rabbi the baraita, Shishiuram birvi'it. You need a revi'it, which makes a lot of teeth. Ba'avinam ba shovchin lemay chaz. What are you shovchin for? V'amri b'yal legaber ben tatit, to make mortar. Ve'ilu batar de gavle, after it's mixed. Tanya, we learned teeth kedel asol bahem pikur, enough to make the little area where you stick the bellows in to blow, which is much smaller than the amount you get from a revi'it. Hatam nami keda amaran. You don't mix the mortar just to make a pikur. You mix more. Tashema, the Amar Bihiya Barami Mishme De'ula, Shilosha Orot Hen. There's 3 types of leather. Matzah, Chifa, V'diftera. Matzah, Kemashma'o. Like matzah. Matzah, you don't put salt, you don't put nothing, it's flour and water. Kemashma'o, delo maliyah, udelo kamiyah, udelo afitz. I didn't process it with any of the 3 processes. I didn't put salt, I didn't put flour, and I didn't put the gold nuts. V'kama shi'uro. How much is the shi'ur? Tani, Rabbi Shimon bar Rav Yehuda, kedei latzur bo mishkolet ketana. The shi'ur of that type of totally raw leather is enough to wrap a small weight. The kama, how big is that weight? Amar Abai, which weight? Riva de pumpedita. Whatever it is, a small item that they made of leather, of lead, and they wrap it with leather so that it doesn't go down in weight, and you'll be a cheetah. You have to be careful with your mishkalot. Then you have chifa, is the maliach, it was salted, v'la kamiach, v'la afitz. But they didn't treat it with flour, and they didn't put the afatzim on it. Right? V'kama shi'uro, how much? Kedetnan, or kedela asot kamiyah. That's enough to make the case of the kamiyah. Diftera, the maliach, v'kamitz, you put salt, and you put the flour, you mix it in the flour. V'la afitz, you didn't treat it with the gall nuts. V'kama shi'uro, how much is the shi'ur? Kedei lichtov alav et haget. Enough to write a get on it. Katani miha, but we learned that the matzah, kedei latzur bo mishkalot ketana. Enough to keep the small thing. V'amar Abai riva de pumpedita. So you see that why you see that or that you're not gonna treat. The shi'ur is not kedei la'asot kamiyah. The shi'ur is kedei to put the mishkalot. Says the Gemara. Hatam bebishula. Over there, now over here doesn't mean that it's cooked. It's funny. Bishula means it's raw and soft. Before you did anything to it, it's very soft. Like cooked meat gets very soft. Like butter. Masha'en ken over here, it's already harder. It's ready to be, Rashi says, I don't know much about tanning, but Rashi says, bishula, lach kemo shuvshat, the way you took it off. Kari bishula, lashon bishul, shulach is moist. The akati lo hazi le'ibud, you can't tan it yet. Aval yabesh, but if it's dried, hazi le'ibud, you can tan it. V'kiven the hazi le'ibud, once it's useful for tanning, have it kemi'ubad. We give it the same shiur as mi'ubad.
Because it probably soaked in the solution and it makes it soft.
Maybe, I have no idea.
Water, anything that the water, leather and water will make something soft, and then when it dries, they don't take in the dye.
I can't say. You know better than me. Yes. Oh boy, wear different clothes. V'hatenan says Gemara says v'hatenan. Didn't we learn? Habeged shelosha al shelosha. Clothing is shelosha al shlosh tvachim. The midras. Rashi says, important Rashi to see. Shelosha al shelosha l'tumah midras aval l'maga. Shalosh al shalosh v'hen etzba'ot. Finally, Rashi decided to tell you the difference between shelosha and shelosha and shalosh al shalosh. In the middle of a perek that nobody reads, man.
What's the difference between the matzah, leather, and the shelo abdom?
That's what he said. The matzah leather is soft. Shelo abado means it's dried. It's ready to be tanned, but it's not tanned yet. So since it's ready to be tanned, it's dry, so you give it the shiur of tanned. He says, so hasak now is dalet al dalet, 4 by 4. Ha'or chamisha al chamisha. Mafatz vav al vav. Ben lemidras, ben lemet. V'tani alam, we learned that's for tumat midras. V'tani Allah habeged v'asak v'or kishiur letumah kach shiur lotzah. The same shiur that you have for becoming tameh, that's the shiur for carrying. So that's leather, and the shiur is totally different. It's 4 by 4, 5 by 5 tefahim. Says the Gemara, hahu bekur tubla. Rashi, mevashelo berotchim. He cooks it in boiling water. Umitkashe. That makes it hard. Leshev alav, either to sit on it. Velachasot blub kaot shekorim fusdival. Kiseh mitkabel. It's a folding chair, like the director chair, right? Umitot and beds v'la'asoto shulchano, to make it into a table. Okay, so that's different types of leather. You have the non-processed, the semi-processed, the fully processed, and the cooked, and the super duper, the hard one. Klaf. Kirteh lechtov alav parasha ketana. Tosafot tells you on the top. Klaf is duchsustus. So you got to remember 3 names: Gvil, Klaf, and duchsustus.
Like the bill we said was the whole skin, right? Klaf was the half side that was facing the hair.
Right.
And duchsustus was the side that was facing the skin.
Correct. Now Tosafot's going to explain it again. Gvil, hu or shalem. It's a complete skin. Ela she'eshiru ha'se'ar. They just scraped the hair off. V'hainu da'amar beresh bababatra. Gvil avne delo meshafyan. They call gvil stones that weren't even smoothed. Alma she'enu metukam. When something is not refined, kari gvil. Uchsheholkim oto l'shnayim. When you split it into 2, oto sheklape se'ar. The one that's by the hair, karui klaf. V'klape basar, the one that's towards the skin, karui duchsustus. Ve'omer Rabbeinu Tam, the belashon Yavan in Greek, korim lebasar sustus. Ve'duch pirush makom, the place. Kemo duch pelan, this place. Lekach kari le duch sustus. Kilomar mekom basar. Just remember that and you'll never have a problem. Sustus. Sus has meat, okay. V'klafim shelanu. That's another story. Now, and the Rambam says the same thing. Shelosha oroten. Gevil, v'klaf, v'duchsustus. Keitzad. Lokchim ora be'ema o ora haya o ma'avirin se'ar memenu tehla. ואחר כך מולחים אותו במלח, ואחר כך מעבדים אותו בקמח, ואחר כך בעבצה, וכיוצא בו מדברים שמקבצים את האור ומחזיקים אותו, והוא הנקרא גביל. ואין לקחו האור אחר שהעבירו שיער, וחלקו אותו בעוביו לשניים, you split it into 2, כמו שהעבדנים עושים, like the tanners do, עד שיעשה שני אורות to becomes 2 skins, אחד דק, one is thin, והוא שממול השיער, ואחד עבה, one is thick, והוא שממול הבשר, ועבדו אותו במלח, ואחר כך בקמח, ואחר כך באבצה וכיוצא בה. זה החלק שממול השיער. The one that's opposite the שיער, נקרא דוכסוסטוס. וזה שממול הבשר, the one that's opposite the hair, the skin, נקרא קלף.
Really saying the same thing.
Let's go. There's 2 pieces like this.
Okay, the Ran talks about it here. We're not going to get into the Rambam. Anyway, let's see. So we say, V'reminhu, klaf. So how much klaf? Kedei l'chtov ala parasha ketana shebetefilin shehu Shema Yisrael. Right, in the tefillin shel Rosh. In the tefillin you have 4 parashiyot. Each parasha is written separately. Shema Yisrael is the smallest parasha. Urminhu, have a braita that says like this. Klaf v'duchsustus kedei l'chtov alav mezuzah. That's much longer. It has Shema and V'haya. My mezuzah, mezuzah shebetefillin. V'kari lehu letefillin mezuzah. So you call it mezuzah is the doorpost. So the scroll that we put on the doorpost is called a mezuzah. How on earth do you call the one in the tefillin a mezuzah? So we say, we do. V'hatanya ritzuat tefillin. Ima tefillin, mitamet et hayadayim. Right? The Chachamim made a gezerah that Sefarim is mitamet et hayadayim. So he says that even the tefillin, even the ritzuot is mitamet et hayadayim. B'fnei atzman. B'fnei atzman, if you have the ritzuot separately, you took them out, and mitamot et hayadayim. Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda omer mishum Rabbi Shimon, hanogea b'ritzuat tahor, even when it's in the tefillin. Ad she'iga b'ketzitza. You have to touch the bite. Rabbi Zakai Mishmo, Omer, Rabbi Zakai says in the name of Rabbi Shimon, Tahor ad she'iga b'mezuzah atzma. What does he mean? You have to touch the cloth.
Yeah, touch the
right? So, but we're talking about tefillin. So he calls the parasha in the tefillin a mezuzah. No problem.
You touch it, you gotta wash your hands.
If you want to eat terumah, we got a while. Mr. Hanona, we have a while till we eat terumah. What? Today's doomsday. V'ha mide katani seifa. Albert is going to be a mehader in the mitzvah of eating terumah. V'ha mide katani seifa. Says in the seifa, klaf kedei lechtov alav parasha ketana shebatefilin. It says at the end of the same braita, klaf, in order to write the small parasha of tefillin, shehi Shema Yisrael mechlal dereisha b'mzuzah atzma askinan. The reisha itself is not talking about parasha of tefillin. Says Gemara, you're right. Hachi katani. Klaf v'duchsustus shiuram bekama. Meaning this, what it said in the beginning, klaf v'duchsustus, that's an intro. Right? And the Tana mistook it. Klaf v'duchsustus kedei, what? Duchsustus, sustus. Kedei lechtov, duchsustus, kedei lechtov alav mezuzah. Klav kedei lechtov alav parasha ketana shebetefilin shu Shema Yisrael. So we were misunderstanding the Braita. It wasn't klav v'duchsustus kedei lechtov. It was klav v'duchsustus bekama. Duchsustus kedei lechtov alav mezuzah. Klav kedei lechtov alav parasha ketana shebetefilin shu Shema Yisrael. Now, the Rambam quotes over here, Halacha leMoshe miSinai. Shiu kotvim Sefer Torah al hagvil. We have one. The Shalom Sefer Torah here is written on gvil, right? You ever see it's thick and it's brown? Some people have Megillot written on gvil. Nice. The feel is awesome, right? Yeah, because it's harder to write on. Gvil is it's full leather. It's not split. The parchments are thin. Gvil is thick. Thick but softer. Right?
It's very hard to write.
I spoke to the rabbi. He says it's more not only because of the cost of the material, but because it's hard to write on.
Right, it's very hard to write on.
Right? Shiu kotvim Sefer Torah al hagvil. You should write a Sefer Torah on gvil. V'kotvim b'mkom ha'se'ar. So when you write on gvil, you write on the hair part. V'shiu kotvim ha'tefilin al haklaf. V'kotvim b'mkom ha'basar. V'shiu kotvim ha'mezuzah al duchsustus. V'kotvim b'mkom ha'se'ar. Right? So when you write on klaf, when you split it, so the outside is the klaf, the inside is the duchsustus. On the klaf, you write bimkom basar. On the duchsustus, you write bimkom se'ar. So basically, you're writing on the same spot where you split it. This one and that one. That's the halacha Moshe Sinai. Tefillin, Sefer Torah on Gvil, mezuzah on klaf, and tefillin on. Did I get it right? Tefillin on klaf and mezuzah on duchsustus. Fine. You won't build roll. Okay. Amar Rav. Rav says duchsustus hareo keklaf. Duchsustus is like klaf, which means ma klaf kotvim alav tefillin, af duchsustus kotvim alav tefillin. Just like klaf, you're allowed to use to write tefillin on it. So to duchsustus, even though the halacha Moshe Sinai said that you should write tefillin on klaf, duchsustus works too. Tanan we learned klaf kedei lechtov parasha ketana shebetefillin shishma Yisrael, right? And the duchsustus needed kedei lechtov alav mezuzah. Says the Gemara, le mitzvah. It's a mitzvah min hamuvhar, meaning the mitzvah is to write the tefillin on klaf. The mitzvah min hamuvhar is to write mezuzah on duchsustus. So even though b'di'avad it's kasher if you write tefillin on duchsustus, we don't assume that duchsustus is going for tefillin, because it's not. It's a b'di'avad. We assume people are going to do lechatchila. Rashi, the mitzvah min hamuvhar, klaf ba'inan. V'stama de kol inish mitzvah me'al ya'avid. He wants to do it right. Hilkach lo matznat duchsustus l'tefillin. People don't put it away for that. V'avale en matzniim kamo. Tashema, another proof. Halacha l'Moshe Sinai, tefillin ala klaf, umezuzah ala duchsustus. Like we said, klaf you have to write bimkom basar towards the skin. Duchsustus you have to write bimkom se'ar. So we answer the mitzvah. No, that's also lechatchila. But the avad you can write the tefillin on duchsustus. V'atanya, didn't we learn? Shina pasul. If he changed what we told you, it's pasul. How could you tell me that it's only lechatchila? It says if you change it, it's pasul. Says the Gemara, no problem. A mezuzah. It's going on mezuzah. If you wrote mezuzah on klav, it's pasul. We're all in trouble. But if you write mezuzah, a tefillin, on duchsustus, it's kasher. V'hatanya, didn't we learn? Shina bazeh ubazeh pasul. If he switched this or that, it's pasul. So doesn't that mean if he wrote tefillin on duchsustus or mezuzah on klaf, they're both pasul? No. Idi v'idi mezuzah. They're both going on mezuzah. V'had dekatvinu. If you wrote a mezuzah on klaf bimkom se'ar, inami aduchsustus bimkom basar. If you wrote it on the klaf bimkom se'ar, it's pasul. Here. Had the katve aklaf afilu bimkom se'ar, Rashi says. V'koshkem bimkom basar. Why? Tehilchita mezuzah bimkom se'ar. Mezuzah must be written on the hair side. So therefore, if you wrote it on klaf, even though you wrote it on the hair side, it's pasul. Why? Because it's on klaf. And if you wrote it on duchsustus, but you wrote it on the basar side, since you wrote it on the hair side, it's pasul. So what's pasul is duchsustus, is mezuzah. That's not a duchsustus from b'kom se'ar. But tefillin, we didn't tell you anything is pasul. It's only the mitzvah. Inami. Another answer. Shina bazeh ubazeh tana'ehi. It's machloket tanaim. The Tanya, shina bazeh ubazeh pasul. If he changed either one, meaning klaf for mezuzah and duchsustus for tefillin, it's pasul. Rav Aha machshir mishum Rav Achi bar Hanina. Rav Aha says it's okay. Ve'amri la mishum Rabbi Yaakov bar Hanina. So it's machloket. Rav says like Rav Achi bar Hanina. Rav Papa Amar. Rav the Amar ke Tana de Bemenashe. Rav says like Tana de Bemenashe. The Tana de Bemenashe Ketava ala niyar ve'ala matlit pesula, ala klaf ve'ala gvil, ve'al duchsustus keshera. You write on anything, it's okay. Says Gemara, 1 second. Ketava mai. What did he write? Ilema mezuzah. You think he wrote a mezuzah? Mezuzah klaf mi katvina. Does anybody say he can write mezuzah on klaf? Elalav tefillin. It must be he wrote tefillin. And you see that you can write tefillin even on duchsustus. Ulta'amich tefillin agvil mi katvinan. You think it's going on tefillin? Could you write tefillin on gevil? Nobody says that either. Says the Gemara, Ela kitan yahi besefer Torah. That braita is going on sefer Torah. That sefer Torah, you write on anything is okay. Leima misayeyalei. Let's say we have a proof to Rav. Kayotze bo tefillin shebalu. Tefillin that wore out. Vesefer Torah shebala. And a sefer Torah that wore out. And osin mehen mezuzah. You can't make them into a mezuzah. Lefi she'en moridim mekidusha hamura lekdusha kala. Because you can't go from a higher kedusha to a lower kedusha. Ta'ama, the reason the en moridin is because you can't go down. Tefillin is higher kedusha than mezuzah, because tefillin has 4 parashiyot and mezuzah only has 2. Ha moridin, but if the halacha would be moridin, or sin, you're allowed to do it. It would work. Diktiva amai. What'd you write it on? Lav diktiva aduchsustus. I mean, because we know that the mezuzah has to be duchsustus. Right? So it must be he wrote tefillin on duchsustus like Rav said, and now he's going to cut it out and put it on his door. If moridim would be okay. But you see, tefillin is on duchsustus. If it be on klaf is pasul for mezuzah. Says Gemara lo dechtiva aklaf. It's written on klaf. Umezuzah aklaf mi katvina. Could you write a mezuzah on klaf? In, yes. Vehatanya. I have a braita. It's a Bobby smiling. His mezuzah is kasher again. Vehatanya. Ketava ala klaf. If he wrote it on klaf, ala niyar, ala matlit pesula. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Rabbi Meir. Haya kotva ala klaf. Rabbi Meir used to write. Now I'm like Rabbi Meir ba'alanes. He's look at Bobby. He's smiling from ear to ear. Right? Kitava ala haya kotva ala klaf shemishtameret. That lasts the longest. Hashda dati lahachi. That Rabbi Meir holds. You can write a mezuzah on klaf. L'Rav nami lo tema. Don't say he said duchsustus hareo keklaf. That you can write tefillin on duchsustus, but say the opposite. Elaema klaf hareu ke duchsustus. Klaf is like duchsustus. Ma duchsustus kotvim alav mezuzah. Av kelaf kotvim alav mezuzah. So that's and that's halacha. Resh pechet. Where is it?
What do we do with duchsustus today?
We don't have duchsustus. They don't make it. They only make klaf, and they don't split it. They don't split it. They shave it. Give me a minute. We'll get there. Ketava ala klaf o ala gvil keshera lo amru duchsustus ela lemitzvah. Okay. Lo amru duchsustus ela lemitzvah. Sham, he quotes. Shabbat Ayin Tet kerav. Umideparich sham mezuzah aklaf lo v'lo ka'amar nami agvil. Shma mina de begvil keshera. Aha. Here's proof. Ingenious proof. Says the Gemara says. Sefer Torah shebala en osim mimenu mezuzah lefi she'em moridin. Sefer Torah is supposed to be written on what? On gvil. So Gemara says. Could you cut it out of the tefillin, which is on klaf, and put it in the mezuzah? Mezuzah, klaf, mikatvinan. Why didn't you ask the same question on the Sefer Torah? Mezuzah, agvil, mikatvinan. El agvil is okay for sure. And then when we come along to Rav and said that klaf is kasher, so comes out everything is kasher in the mezuzah. Mishnah Berurah in Siman Lamed Bet of Hilchot Tefillin, when he discusses how to make the klaf, he quotes the whole story. Halacha leMoshe miSinai tefillin ala klaf velo ala duchsustus velo ala gvil. Kotvim ala klaf b'mkom basar ve'im shina pasul. Mao klaf u'mao duchsustus ha'or b'sha'at ibudo holkim oto l'shnayim. Ve'chelek hachitzon, the outside, shul etzad se'ar nekla klaf. והפנימי הדבוק לבשר נכלל דוכסוסטוס. ולפי זה כי אמרין קולטים על הקלף במקום בשר, היינו במקום היותר קרוב לבשר. היינו במקום חיבורו כשהוא דבוק לדוכסוסטוס. וקלפים שלנו שאין חולקים אותם, יש להם דין קלף. וכותבים עליהם לצד בשר. שמה שמגררים קליפתו העליונה שבמקום שיער, this is what they scrape away, the top, which is by the hair, אינו אלא כדי מה שצריך לתקנו ולהחליקו. That's just making it smooth. ואפילו אם היו חולקים האור לשניים, even if you would split it into two, היה צריך לגרר ממנו כך. ומצד הבשר, but on the inside, גוררים הרבה. They scrape away a lot. עד שלא נשאר אלא הקלף בלבד, till they only have the cloth. So basically, they scrape away the duchsustus. ברוך אדוני לעולם, אמן ואמן. שבת שלום.